Once upon a time, Chris called Dan and said, "I'm having an idea." When Dan got over his initial shock and horror, he agreed to hear Chris out. Suddenly, a podcast was born, and somehow I was suckered into recording the intro to give them a little bit of legitimacy. And so, here we are. Welcome to the Dan and Chris Save the World podcast.
The Dan and Chris podcast has been fortified with 6 essential vitamins and minerals. Please use only as directed.
Be careful operating heavy machinery while listening to this podcast. If you are pregnant or may become pregnant, please consult a physician before listening to this podcast.
No animals were harmed in the creation of this podcast. For best results, open your mind and smile while listening. Continued use of this podcast has been known to cause hilarity in certain individuals.
Proceed at your own risk.
You're saying you're never ready, Chris?
I'm never ready. I'm the antithesis of a battery at the moment.
You're not ready for this podcast.
You can't handle this podcast.
You know, we were like the original podcasters with the do tapes.
We really were in our own way.
A podcast is basically something you record and people listen to later, unlike radio and stuff. And, we were, one of the first people to do it, I think.
Had we known what we were doing when we were 14, we were like 16, 17, 18 at the time.
Somewhere around there,
It was the mid to late 1980s, right? If we had known what we were doing, if we understood the depth of what we were doing, then we would still probably be, curmudgeon wannabes.
Yeah, but people could be listening to Dudecasts instead of podcasts these days.
That would be a thing. Although I don't know if we would ever have the investment capital that I can see his face. Apple CEO passed away, Steve Jobs. We will never have the investment capital that Steve Jobs had.
No, probably not. No. But oh well. But here we are. It's March.
Yep. It is time.
It is time. Time for what?
I have no idea. Time to record something, I suppose.
Let's record something. Since we're here, since we're talking, let's record something.
This is where I'd be like, why don't you go ahead and hit the record button and then conveniently look over and see that we've been recording for the past minute and a half already.
How did that happen?
Yeah, no, because I predict these things. It's familiarity, right?
It's become kind of what we do, or at least what I do to you.
See, and this is why this is why you're in command of the controls. You have the buttons, you push the buttons, and then I talk, and with what I say, I push other buttons.
I push the mechanical buttons, you push the other buttons.
Yeah. We live in a weird world. I mean, we say this all the time, and
it gets weirder.
It just gets weirder. It's like, I saw the meme the other day, and it said, who thought we would be towards the tail end of a pandemic, and then have to deal with the World War III plot line already. Mm-hmm. So I think George R. Martin wrote the 2020s.
Oh my gosh!
It's just.
That's what he's been doing instead of finishing his books, huh?
Yeah, that's it. Instead of finishing his books, he's been writing, helping write video games that are apparently too hard to play. Oh, which is that Elden Ring game that.
Really? I didn't hear that he was doing that.
Yeah, he's behind the story and structure of. Well, he's not behind it, but he's like a contributing member of this video game that came out recently called Elden Ring, which is it's an RPG console PC game. Right, so you take your hero and you go off and get into difficult situations, and it has this reputation of being one of the most difficult video games ever created.
Oh, nice!
And my daughter's boyfriend's been playing it, and the fluency of curse words from the dining room where he has his computer set up is quite impressive, I must say.
Wow. See, that would frustrate me too. I play video games to get there and enjoy it.
Right.
If it's so complicated that I can't do it, or if it's just too much complexity, it's my escape. That's not an escape for me. That's a frustration.
And you and I are casual gamers for the most part. I might be a little bit more, intrinsic into it than you are, but that's the casual gamer approach. Right. Elden Ring has been built for the people who look at these console games that exist throughout the past, especially 5 to 10 years, and are like, yeah, they're nice. I like the story, but I don't feel challenged. I can rip through it. Experience the story and go about my day. This is the game that was like, oh, really now? you're gonna go
challenge
ahead and
accepted.
yeah, exactly. These are the guys who are really like, okay, well, you asked for it, you're gonna now get
Oh,
it.
jeez, yeah. See, that's not. See, that's why I liked, like, the Command and Conquer.
Right.
I could sit down in a session, a couple hours. I could finish off a whole thing, and defeat the enemy usually, or get defeated, and it was good. I'm done. I can come back again and do it again. But
you and I, when we would co-op play Command and Conquer, we would always be like, "Oh my God, they're killing us! They're killing us! Killing us!" We would just keep struggling until we hit that magic moment where
that
we hit
magic moment.
that magic moment. See, listeners, you guys didn't know you were going to be getting a dinner and a show today.
There you go.
It's Dan and Chris Save the World, the musical.
Oh,
but we'd hit that moment
Starring
where it was
Hugh
like,
Jackman.
yeah, there you go. Starring Hugh Jackman as the Beaver. Dun, dun, dun. Anyway, we'd hit that moment where it was like, okay, we've got our footing, and then we would just keep building furiously. It's like, okay, now we've got you.
Yes.
And then it would just be at that point, it was just a matter of doing the work and finishing
it. Then the conquer part came in.
Exactly.
The slaughter. We just slaughtered the enemy at that point.
We would just come in with these massive waves of tanks and stuff and just start hauling. I'd be coming in from, like, if you're looking at a clock, we would both be in like the 2 to 3 o'clock region with our bases. You would start going counterclockwise across the top. I'd go clockwise across the bottom, and we would just start carving everything out into the middle.
But it was something you said we could finish. We're done. It was, and that's and I haven't played in a couple of years, but I sit down and play for a couple hours still every so often. And it's just a game you can play and finish, and I can move on, and because there's so much other things to do in the world these days. In our lives.
I never noticed.
Yeah, our lives are slightly busier than they were back in the day, but.
Yeah.
I guess kudos to the kids who have time to do all this stuff.
Yeah, this growing up thing is bullshit. I
know.
Adulting, 2 out of 10, do not recommend.
No, but unfortunately, unfortunate, that's what we have.
My personal battle cry lately has been, I have a mortgage.
Yep.
It's my reminder to myself that no, you cannot stop doing things. You have
bills to pay.
Right?
It's part of that adult thing there.
Oh, to be rich.
Wouldn't that be weird? It's a weirdness.
Yeah, but I'm willing to risk it.
Yeah, it's weirdness. I'd like to embrace and try. But it would be weird to be able to because we've had to work forever and it'd be weird to not have to work. But I mean, I guess that's what they call retirement and stuff. But
yeah, but that's the damn thing about retirement is the fact that you're usually too old to really appreciate. I wish you could do like a reverse retirement. You come out of college, you retired, you can sit around for about 5-10 years, and then you go to work.
Well, that's what those reverse mortgages are about, kind of, right?
Oh, see, that's a horrible scam.
It is. But then you get your money ahead of time, and then you work later to pay it off.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah. So reverse retirement. You can just work yourself to death because you've already had your fun. Is that what it is?
Well, that's the joke I use at the office all the time. We've had a few more guys retire recently in the past year and a half, and inevitably when somebody announces their departure, the office will be like, they'll just check in with each other, like, okay, how much longer do you have? And I remember telling I made the comment several years ago, but people just expected of me now, so they like to set it up to hear me say it again. It's kind of funny. Where I tell people my wake and my retirement party will be the same event. So it's like, oh,
wonderful.
Yeah, that's great.
Hopefully not, but
hey,
that's great. Hopefully it's not that way, but I understand what you're saying. It's. I think I have at least another 15 years to pay off stuff and other things, but
stuff and things.
Yeah, those little people who need your time and everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a thing.
But it is what it is. It's I'm trying to I'm trying to do the thing,
Right.
and it's hard.
It's
It
just been
is
more
hard.
challenging, though. Is
Mhm.
it my imagination, or does it feel like, holy shit, feels like we're going backwards in some cases?
Well, 20, in a lot of ways, people, we are, as a country, as a world, we are going backwards.
Yeah,
I mean, all these crazy laws that are passing in different states.
it's
The
insanity.
war going on there, with, whatever they want to call it, it's a war. They're taking over another
Hmm.
country. It's a war. Um, it's like, okay, when did we go back in time?
Right.
Let's control education. Let's control people. Say, let's ban books. Let's do this. And this is stuff from we read about it in history books. Let's take over another country. These were stuff we learned in school growing up.
Yeah. I mean, we read 1984 when we were in high school,
Hmm.
and we built upon that by saying we would laugh about it, be like, oh, well, something like that could never happen in today's society. And here it is.
Yeah,
It's happening.
countries are controlling what people, what they're telling people. They're telling them what their narrative, what they want, what they want them to learn, and just, oh my gosh, it's
But,
crazy.
but it's the party of freedom and personal freedoms and
Yeah.
liberties and deregulation. But we'll go ahead and regulate the hell out of what we want you to think.
Only
And,
if it's only free if you do what we say.
right?
If you do exactly what we say, then you're free to think that way.
Yep.
So if any other way than that, then sorry, you have to free think in our way only.
Yes.
So as long as you're free thinking in our way, that you're totally free to think in that way. But if you think in any other way, then you're not free to think in that way. So you have to think in our free way that we provide that you to think in. And I just lost myself.
Yeah. And I've gone cross-eyed.
But yeah, it's bizarro world here. I mean,
And they feel justified to make these
and I don't.
laws. They feel justified to make these accusations. Did you see the Texas anti-abortion law, and one of the guys who wrote it
Hmm.
was in a hearing where he was being taken to task by a couple of female representatives, and they had facts, they had science, they had medical knowledge
Hmm.
behind them, and they were grilling this guy. And I can't remember the exact question that was asked him. I apologize for that. But they basically said, do you understand the dynamic of what exactly you're saying here, or what the bill is saying here? And he's like, well, to be honest, I really don't. Then why are you trying to
Oh my
Well, I just
gosh,
this is illegal and this is illegal and this should be illegal, and they're like, but don't you understand,
the
the cause and
implications.
effect here? And they
Yeah.
kept they kept asking questions, basically saying, here's the foundation of our concern. Here's what you have said. Here's what the bill says, and here's why it doesn't make sense.
Hmm.
And he just kept circling back to this talking point. It's like, you really don't get it, do you? You really don't understand what you're saying. And
No, they don't.
but you feel perfectly privileged to write this legislation that will affect people
That
and it
put
will
that put,
harm people.
but it pushes some people's buttons in the right way, and it gets them noticed, and it does it. It's whatever. Oh my,
Yeah.
and then Florida's
Yeah.
don't say gay bill. Well, that's not what the law is about. It's about giving the parents the right to do it, but it also gives the parents the right to sue their teachers and sue their school. So
Yeah.
Florida does not like education. I've come to realize. The whole masking things, and the government, them penalizing the schools, taking away the school money. Let's allow you to sue any teacher you want if you don't like what they're teaching, which is basically what the law
Exactly.
is saying.
Yeah.
If they say something that you don't like, you can sue the teacher, you can sue the school.
Because that makes perfectly sense. This makes
Okay,
perfect sense.
right. So it's who's going to want to be a teacher there?
Yeah.
If anything that you say that could possibly be misconstrued and then a parent can sue you. So,
Well, I mean, the bottom line is President Cheeto Face Twat Waffle said it best in his campaign. I love the poorly educated.
yeah.
This is what they want.
Hmm.
They have been on this campaign for the past several decades to gut public education, to delegitimize, to undermine, to undercut public education.
Hmm.
and force people into businesses essentially because they want to make, like everything else, education, like everything else, everything has to be a business.
Mhm.
That's what unregulated capitalism gets you is everything has to be a business. It has to profit somebody. The great question that is always the counter to every great idea is, where's the money in it?
Mhm. Right.
It doesn't matter of the effect it has on society. It doesn't matter the effect it has on generations to come. It doesn't matter. Like the old adage, and I know we've said it in the podcast before, and I hold it to heart, is that a wise man is an old man who plants a tree, the shade of which he knows he'll never sit in.
Right.
Or something to that effect. Probably more poetic than I said it. But, you have
You're
people here
thinking of
who
the
are like,
future. Yeah, we talked about
yeah,
that. Yeah.
but the response that the capitalist will give you is, well, where's the money in that?
Right.
Missing the whole you can't take it with you aspect, right?
Can't.
Because when you're in the ground, you can't buy
I'm
a jet.
getting a gold line coffin, and I'm going to be buried.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you do you, boo. It's
Yeah, I know.
basically it. And it boggles the imagination. And now I am not a proponent of pure socialism, not a pure proponent of any particular economy, right?
Mhm.
I am always been the kind of person who looks at mix and match, find the best pieces, let them balance each other out. Find balance in, find the middle of the road here, find this, find that, piece it all together, knit it into a tapestry and work with it. And if part of that doesn't work, then you pull it out and you put something new in.
Right.
It's called flexibility. It's, and people, they're in this modern climate, if you do that, if you put this little jigsaw puzzle together and a piece isn't working and you go, oh, hey, you know what, that isn't working, then they just swarm on you. Well, see, your whole system sucks and you were wrong and you were just wrong and you have to be, and you're going to be held accountable and you're flip-flopping your position and look at what a terrible politician, what a terrible person you are. No, I'm just taking responsibility, something you don't know anything about, and I'm going to now go about the business of fixing it. For me, business should not be heavily regulated. It should be well regulated. And for people who don't understand the semantics of it, I pity you for starters, because, again, this circles back to education, right? Education should be the silver bullet. Education should be treated as the paramount, most prioritized concern. With healthcare and the general welfare of the population, the general welfare of the whole population, not just the 1%ers or whoever thinks like they do. A smart populace makes better decisions. It's not focusing on understanding the situation or piecing through what's being said to them. They're just looking for confirmation bias. They're looking for the person who is saying what they agree with.
Yes, there's a lot. Definitely, we are a confirmation bias type of society these days.
And they're just looking for, oh, that makes sense to me. Got a guy in my office who is a full-on conspiracy theory aficionado. Who thinks that the Cheeto-faced twat waffle that used to be our president, it was a genius, know exactly what was going on at all times, was the right man for the job. He was
the right man for the job to tell him
people.
what he wanted to hear.
Yeah, the vaccine kills people. The vaccine is population control. COVID was a hoax, even though he had COVID.
And he's the one who quote unquote invented the vaccine.
Yeah. They don't. Well, that's the thing, is you don't want to see your own.
It's such
you don't want to see the paradoxical nature of all these statements when you put them all together and you lay them out.
Right.
You don't get it.
There's one TikToker that goes around, and you've seen this one. He goes and talks to the people at Trump rallies and stuff. And
Jordan Klepper.
I don't know, whoever it is, but
tall fella, sandy hair, beard.
It might be, yeah.
Yeah, he works for the Daily Show. He is amazing.
I mean, these people, they answer these questions and do you hear what you're saying? And he asks them again, and it's just, oh my gosh, it's just bizarre. These people,
it's insane.
I love one of the ones where someone's wearing a shirt, F Biden kind of thing, and he said, "You really want to, do that to Biden?" I'm like, oh, I mean, I don't know. It's just a bizarre world.
It doesn't make sense. And here's the unfortunate thing is it has gone so far into it at this point that there's no way to turn around and educate these people. Unfortunately, there's no moment where you can put it in front of them and say, here's the unconquerable truth of what's going on around you right now,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll just dismiss it.
Yeah.
It's like the way it was explained to me is you can drag one of these idiots out on a sunny day, tilt their head up and say, look, the sky is blue, and they wouldn't believe you because you were liberal or you were not their political mindset, or they would see it, but they would just dig their heels in and argue with you because at that point they couldn't release their pride long enough to see the truth.
Right. We can't acknowledge it anyways. And they're so dug into whatever their beliefs are, they just nothing else matters.
Yeah. That's it. That's exactly. They're so dug into their beliefs that nothing else matters anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why we're getting this huge support of their base in areas like Florida and Texas.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who are actually supporting this "Don't Say Gay" bill, these anti-abortion bills, because their side came up with it. This is the right thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter to any of them.
It doesn't, because they had the nightclub shooting there. Not that long ago. The gay nightclub.
Yeah.
And then they go and pass this law. A few years later. It's
yeah.
It's crazy. What's going to take for people to wake up? This war isn't causing people to wake up. Now, Putin's a good guy.
There are people supporting the Russians in this country.
I don't get it.
There are people who think Putin is doing the right thing. How?
Because he's a genius.
How?
Because Trump said he's a genius. He can take it this country here. Come on.
Oh, I don't get that.
It's why do you think it's good to take over? Should we go invade Canada?
The Ukraine is this, and Ukraine is corrupt, and Ukraine that, and their talking points are that the Ukraine is this corrupt. It's even if they were okay. Let's play this out real quick.
Mm-hmm.
The Ukraine, which has been effectively demilitarized already over the past 15 to 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
They went from being when the Soviet Union broke up, the Ukraine became the third most powerful nuclear arsenal in the world. And
they gave up their nuclear weapons.
And they gave it up
for
the peace of the area, for the peace of the region.
Right.
So, okay, let's game this one out. Right? Let's say that the Ukraine does have all of the things that Russia's accusing it of, which, by the way, are paradoxical to begin with. So there's even accusations from Russia don't make sense because if you line them all up, there's like, how can they have this but this at the same time? I don't want to.
Ukraine started COVID.
Right.
Come on.
The Ukraine is the size of most of the eastern United States. Okay. Russia, in terms of real estate, is the second largest country on the planet, I believe. With the biggest one of the biggest populations, short of China. I may be wrong. My data is missing pieces there. But you have this essentially former global superpower.
Russia's small. There are only 145 million people in Russia.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Sorry.
But you have before this invasion began, Russia was regarded as one of the more powerful militaries on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
One of the more dangerous, militaries on the planet. They have since been proven wrong by a grandmother with a handful of sunflower seeds. But hey. The first argument that I heard was that Russia was going to invade Ukraine because they didn't want a militarized presence on their border. Well, didn't Ukraine want the same thing? What about Ukraine's opinion? They don't want a militarized power on their border. Do they not get the same consideration?
Apparently not.
Right?
No.
And then Russia plows into the Ukraine and starts, blowing things up. Oh, we're only going after military targets. As how many apartment buildings and hospitals have we seen destroyed now?
Yeah, they don't care anymore.
They don't care. They're
They've given up that narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now they've taken over a city and they replaced the mayor or whatever, and yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, we're here for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and then here at home, we're like, oh, look at Putin, he's awesome, and look at him, how great he is, and Biden's so weak because he's not doing anything. Biden is actually being extremely presidential right now. They are doing everything they can within a certain parameter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing: the moment the United States puts boots on the ground in the Ukraine and engages Russian forces head on, you're in World War III right there.
Yeah.
It's going to get out of hand in a hurry, and and Putin's mental state. I have to wonder what the hell's going on over there. I mean, I've been studying politics since I was 18 years old, and I'm 51, so I know a little bit more than the average bear. I know a lot less than the experts. All right, my knowledge is just enough to be dangerous, but not enough to be comprehensive. But I know enough to look at a situation and go, yeah, if we set a plane in the air or boot on the ground. Nukes
Who
are flying.
knows? Yeah.
Nukes are flying.
Who knows what this guy's going to do?
Is
there anybody else in this country strong enough to stop him?
I have a fear that before long, I mean, it's well documented that Russia's tactical nukes, the smaller yield buggers that are good for destroying parts of cities, not entire, counties.
Mm-hmm.
Russia has a good chunk of them, because Europe has so many interesting populated areas, and so they went for the pinprick kind of nuclear weapons. I have a fear that before this is over, he's letting one off the chain.
I unfortunately wouldn't be surprised, and I wonder if that's going to, if he does that, if that's going to cause the rest of the world to actually do something then.
Yeah, well, he's done. This is the end of his career as the leader of that country. This is it. One way or another, he is not walking out of this either in power or alive even, I think, to be honest. And I'm not saying that in a hopeful sense. I'm saying that as I just understand this a little bit. Like I said, I know more than the average bear. I know a lot less than the experts. So this is entirely an opinion based on things that I've read, things I've observed, and I could very well be wrong. And in several cases, I hope I am, right? I don't mind being wrong about the idea of him letting a nuclear off the chain. If this comes to pass and that did not happen, I'm okay with being wrong. Let's be very clear about that. And this is something, to tangent, which I'm good at, and swing back to education for a moment. This is important. I'm setting an example, I hope, that it's perfectly okay for you to say, you know what, I was mistaken. Let me learn the truth so that I can understand it better for the future.
Mm-hmm.
People have forgotten that.
Right.
It's my opinion is gold, and I'm sticking to it no matter what. Anyway, moving on. But in my opinion, these are the last days of Putin as president of Russia, because this is not going to end the way he wants it to.
It already hasn't, because you thought it.
Yeah, he thought he'd be done by now.
Mm-hmm.
And in all accounts and purposes, all accounts and reports, he really, if the Russian army was as good as we had thought it was over the years, this would have been done in the first 72 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But the curtain has been pulled back on the quality of the Russian army, which was not nearly as effective as you'd think. And it has also pulled back the curtain on just how badass Ukrainians are.
Yeah.
I mean, they have been an amazing people.
Yeah. I mean, I know they're struggling. I know they want help, but I mean, the situation of the world. There's only so much we can do with it. Like it's like causing World War III.
Yeah.
We have enough of that.
Zelensky is my personal hero. I'll tell you that much for sure. The president of Ukraine. What an amazing man he's been.
Yeah, and I'm glad we're sending as much help as we can.
Right, within reason.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's going to come a moment, like I said, if we do more, it's going to make this exponentially worse. It stops becoming proportional. Like we're trying to send supplies, we're trying to find ways to send, arms and munitions and equipment and whatnot. But the moment we get directly involved, this goes from an invasion to a full-on world war, and it will not end well for anybody.
What if Russia brings out the chemical weapons? What if they bring out the biological weapons?
Well, that's what's happening right now, is that Russia is trying to do the whole spin the narrative thing to justify, because that's what's next.
Yep.
That's what's next. They're going to start launching biological weapons soon. So what they're trying to do is spin the narrative to make it to show that we're showing our work. We're creating the paper trail so we can justify it when we start lobbing this stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even though they have no proof, everybody's been able to prove the fact that Ukraine does not have biological weapons. They do not have biological weapon capacity. Even Fox News reporters are saying we haven't been able to find anything to prove this. You know, to prove that they're actively, you know, maintaining and storing biological weapons. But Russia's like, nope, they've got them. We're going to use them because they've got them. We're going to start using our own.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like,
yeah.
In the run up to this, Putin was like, we're not invading. We're not going to invade. These are just exercises. We're not invading. We're not invading. And then he started the whole false flag stuff. Well, we're going in to rescue Russians that live in the Ukraine. We're going in, and now they're going to take over the whole country now because, well, our goal is to demilitarize Ukraine. Well, why? What gives you that right? That's a sovereign nation.
Right.
You know, they have the right to have their own standing army. They have the right to defend themselves. And the fact that there's Second Amendment lovers out there who are like, no, the Russians are right to go ahead and get in there and take their guns away from them. I actually had somebody who has an actual NRA membership card in their wallet. I know this because they've showed it to me on several occasions when it suited them. Say that to me, where Russia has every right to go in there and take their guns away from them. I just...
Do you not hear what you're saying?
I just you can't speak to these people. That is what circles around to what I said earlier in this particular recording, where people are fucking stupid. People have just gotten stupid. They're so prideful and so bent on being correct that they're stupid.
Yeah. It's a crazy situation we're living in, you know, in this day and age, and I'm scared of how it's going to end.
As well, you should be.
And you know,
you should be.
Yeah,
that makes sense, because I have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, I have my theories, but again, the asterisk is I know more than the average bear. However, I know a lot less than the experts. And obviously, nobody's going to give me current intel that might be classified, right? No? The State Department right now, the president, you know, the Pentagon, they all have oodles, gigabytes of information that I do not have access to. So they're seeing things that I cannot, which is something that the uneducated need to understand, that you cannot be going off and making, you know, unilateral decisions and coming up with all these great theories based on 2% of the actual information,
or less
sometimes.
You're giving them credit.
They're
for
coming
2%.
off of somebody's imagination,
right?
You know,
like you said, confirmation bias. So they find one person who says what they want to hear, so it must be true.
Oh my God, that's what I was thinking. They must be right, therefore I'm right.
Yes.
And whenever somebody says I've done my own research, I'll ask them where did they get their degrees? Where did you get your master's in chemistry? Where'd you get your master's in where'd you get your doctorate?
Yes.
Where'd you do your studying?
Yeah, I didn't know you worked at in a place that developed the vaccines. That's good. It's a scary world.
It is.
And is it? I mean, is there anyone else in any kind of leadership roles in Russia that can go against him?
In Russia?
Yeah,
I have no idea.
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
it's going to be on the shoulders of their military leaders, because that's so
on
usual thing.
On paper, he's not, you know, the absolute leader, but in reality, he is.
He really is. Yeah.
But you know,
and I think what's going to happen is that he is going to end up deposed, because he's going to lead Russia into something. In there's probably a few people in authority in Russia right now who are like, this is embarrassing. We're fucked right now. There's no easy way out of there. So either Putin gets everybody to cave somehow, and he wins by, you know, through draw. Like, okay, you know, we call it a draw. All right, fine, stop. we'll honor some of your term. We're going to negotiate some sort of a ceasefire. You're going to get something out of the deal. We're going to get something out of the deal. And he's going to turn around and be like, look, I win. I won.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then soon after that, he is going to retire on his he's going to retire. Say, I've done everything. These are my final victories. I am going to step down now. And the next president will carry on the glorious, Russian lifestyle. Or he's walking into a no-win situation as the rest of Europe coalesces around Ukraine,
Mm-hmm.
and the United States is standing behind them, just filtering in stuff as much as they possibly can. And Russia's like, all right, well, we have two options here. We're either going to go, fine, we're going to recede like the tide and head back to Russia and, scorch earth on our way out. Or they're going to, like I said, my biggest fear is they're going to let one off the chain, and you're going to watch Berlin disappear in vaporize. And that's another thing is in my thinking that a target will not be in the Ukraine. The target will be one of their basically like arch enemies. They'll let one off the chain and they'll nuke Berlin. That's again a theory. It's based on some reading that I have done.
You never know with this guy, though.
You never know with this guy. You have no idea what he's thinking. Again, I could be very easily be wrong, and I really freaking hope I am.
Yeah.
I would love it to be wrong on this one, but I'm worried that I might not be.
It depends on how absolute his power is there, and how unhinged he is that he would do something like this.
And in that final analysis, in that position of putting Russia into that no-win situation, and then there's going to be somebody who's going to say, "That's it. We got to get this guy out of here. He's gonna get us all killed."
Yeah, I mean, besides the nukes, how much capability does Russia have taking on the rest of the world?
It can't. And that's why they're trying to make friends with China right now.
Mm-hmm.
But even China's starting to waver. China's starting to hedge its bets. Right? It's supporting Russia without supporting Russia. It's made a condemnation of Russia, and it's been like, well, we're going to send some relief aid to the Ukraine, stuff like that.
Yes.
But China is that kind of thing where you're like, you're not quite sure what you're going to get out of them anytime soon. I have a distinct feeling that if this had gone differently, and Russia's invasion and takeover of Ukraine went a lot more smoothly for Russia, we would be talking about right now China going into Taiwan.
Yes. Because I did see something where China said, "Oh, us taking over, us going to Taiwan is nothing like Russia going to Ukraine because Taiwan is part of China." Okay, so it's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing. There's no similarity to it at all. Yes, there is. But yeah, it's and what about and then if Russia didn't have Belarus, I mean they have he has this buddy dictator there. Would they have lasted this long even?
Oh, seriously.
Dictators got to stick together, right?
Yep. I mean, if Trump had not allowed Putin to take Crimea, they would have had the first aspect of this whole thing. They would have had to try to take Crimea when the Ukraine was actually ready for him, instead of wondering what the hell's going on. It's a crazy situation.
It's
Crazy situation.
We live in interesting times.
Yeah.
I'd like them to be a little less interesting, but they are interesting. But I hope they don't get more interesting.
Well, that's the thing is and I know people have been saying this. Why are we dealing with all of history right now at the same time? Okay, we have a pandemic. All right. Well, now we have this going on and this going on and this, and it just keeps stacking up.
Yeah.
When does that stop?
I don't know.
That would be.
Yeah.
When would that stop?
It's not stopping anytime soon.
I can only hope that this all resolves itself. Everything just kind of starts resolving itself as quickly as it all stacked up on top of itself, right? So then maybe we've earned a little bit of a break down the road somewhere along the line.
I hope so, but I thought after the pandemic we would have, but it's not.
Yeah,
not happening yet.
Right.
I mean, where would we be if Trump was still in power?
Dead.
Dead.
And what? Nobody would care. Nobody would care. Because that's what he's done. He's lifted back the curtain and just, we thought ourselves to be this wonderful civilized society, and he has pulled back the curtain to show that we have got a long way to go before we consider ourselves a civilized society.
If anyone else had gotten elected besides him in 2016,
Mm-hmm.
where would we be? Where would we be right now?
We wouldn't be in the pandemic. I put the blame for the pandemic squarely on his shoulders because he was so bent on obliterating Obama's legacy that he was just tearing things out without looking. You have a house of cards in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just pulling from that tower, he didn't care that the tower was collapsing. He just wanted to make sure that those cards were not part of it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally blame him for how widespread the pandemic has become, because he was treating it so like a hoax. He was calling it the hoax, and he was, he was doing everything he could to just basically direct attention away from it, so that we never had things in place to A, prevent it from spreading, B, deal with the fact that it was spreading, and then this whole I'm doing my own research crowd, the anti-vax crowd, the
fake
anti-masking crowd, that they're all Trumpsters.
Yeah, and if he didn't bring in all this fake news, all this making a norm to, did he pull the side even farther? I mean, they've never been close, but did he make it easier for them to be farther right and farther left?
Yes.
Well,
think about it. I mean, one's a reaction to the other.
Mm-hmm.
One is a reaction to the other. You have the people who love what he says,
mm-hmm.
and they latched onto his train and ran with it. And then there's the people who are in opposition, who are like, "Oh my God, we have to be louder. We now have to counter
mm-hmm.
this craziness." And so they have become insane in their own way, trying to
Yes.
counter it. And there's the people in the middle like us who are like, "What the fuck?"
Right.
Come on, guys, what the hell?
See, one man can make a difference.
Yeah.
In this case, it's a very bad difference. But I mean, you can point to so much things that he's introduced and made normal as part of our, of our society, kind of, and for the foreseeable future that that he brought in, that would Marjorie whatever been elected, with Laura, with those extremists.
Lauren Boebert, yeah, neither of them would have had a foothold, because that level of crazy would not have had the platform that it has right now.
Yeah.
Those people are a fucking disgrace. Both of them.
Yeah. So it's there is a cause and effect. I mean, one person can make a difference, and let's try to make that good difference, people.
Yeah.
It's sad.
You know what? I'll tell you what. I have a favorite politician right now. And are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
That particular person is a Republican right now.
Oh, yeah?
I have a favorite politician at the moment, and he is a Republican. His name's Adam Kinzinger,
mm-hmm.
or Kinzinger. I can't remember what state he's from at the moment. Let me look him up. But he's one of the, he and Liz Cheney are the two that have been censured by the Republican Party because they're on the January 6th
Okay,
commission.
he's the other one. Okay. Yeah, Illinois.
I will be very honest. I do not support or agree with a lot of the politics that he possesses.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A lot of the theories and but the thing is I respect the integrity of the man, because he's not that kind of guy who's out. It's business policy.
Mm-hmm.
It's foreign policy, right? He's not doing the whole anti-abortion, anti-gay bullshit. He understands that, if you're going to be the party of freedom and the party of personal responsibility, you can't legislate everything. You can't legislate what you want to see in the world. You can't do that. That's antithesis of what the platform is. And there are some things about, business and taxes and things like that I don't agree.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, right now, he is one of the few people in Washington right now that's showing any damn integrity. He is standing for what he thinks is right,
mm-hmm.
Not what the party wants him to. I mean, his party is trying to do everything they can to get rid of him and put somebody who's loyal to the party in place.
Well,
and this guy is just like,
not the party, it's Trump.
Yeah. Well, that's it. We'll see. Here's the thing: is the Republican Party is the party of Trump right now.
Yeah,
they haven't excised that cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And Liz Cheney is in on a policy level is even worse. She's 10 times more conservative than Kinzinger,
mm-hmm.
and And she will say things that are policy-wise that make my blood boil, but she's standing up for the truth. She's saying that I don't care what happens. This is what's right now. We need to hold these people accountable, and so, okay, all right. There's a couple people on the Democrat side. There was a representative in Texas who was a Democrat, and he was a former football player, and he was involved in the military. And I cannot remember the man's name at the moment, but I can see his face in my head. And, I have hope, because there are glimmers of hope that there are people of integrity still in Congress, but unfortunately they are vastly outnumbered by the rest of them right now.
Yeah, and Kinzinger's not going for re-election.
He's not going to go for re-election?
No, he announced. He said on October 29th last year he's not going to seek re-election this year.
That's unfortunate. I really think he should stay.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or run for Senate. Get out of the House of Representatives, run for Senate.
Yeah.
Or run for fucking president. I would vote for this guy for president. I would.
Yeah.
If he ran, I'd vote for him. I would vote for the man, and I would have faith that that man would not hurt people intentionally.
Mm-hmm. He's really looking out for what's right for the country.
Yes.
As
opposed to these morons. Gates and Boebert and Green. They all need to go on a boat that sinks.
We need term limits. We need to purge the House. We need to start over.
Yeah, well, I know, but you know my response to that.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get term limits, we have to do a lot to get the money out.
Yeah.
Campaign finance reform, stock option reform, the investment reforms, the works. You got to get the money out of politics. Make it a decent living. Make it you will do okay working for the government, right? You will become and if you're a good member of the government, when you retire, people are going to want to hear what you have to. You're going to have consulting jobs up the wazoo. People are going to want to hear what you have to say. But you have also made the country a better place.
These people who
are writing legislation of don't say gay and anti-abortion, they're not making the country a better place right now.
They're endangering kids' lives.
Yep. A gay child is going to be born whether you disallow the words that describe that child or not.
They just have less places to go to.
Children will be born of one gender, and they will not feel good about themselves until they can identify as another gender. That is going to be a thing. That's going to happen for history.
Yes.
It's not a genetic thing. It's not something that's a choice. It's not like they woke up one day and are like, oh, you know what? Let me try some boobs today. It doesn't work that way.
These kids have real problems because they don't know how to deal with it.
And they're being made to feel like they're an abomination.
Especially when you're passing stuff like this. We're trying to make it more so they can get the support that they need to live a happy life, and now we're taking that another channel away, leaving it on the parents. It's the parents' job, but because all parents are good and open to that. It's sad. I feel sorry for these kids who are coming up with us in these areas. Jeez. But anyways, so how can we end on a happy note?
Honestly, I'm not feeling it right now.
Yeah,
that's another thing. And you and I talked yesterday. I'm a great advocate for mental health awareness because I'm very aware of the detriments of my own at the moment. I'm not in a good place.
Yeah.
I have happy moments. I get pictures with my friends and I get to celebrate my friend's birthday and I have a friend who's in town this weekend I haven't seen in a while, and I'm celebrating them and their successes. So I can find the happy moments. I'm not like, oh God, the world is over and I can't be here anymore. I'm not there. I'm nowhere near there. But I'm not happy.
But you're not in a good place right now.
I'm tired. I'm the kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. When your soul is tired.
Yeah.
46 days until I go on vacation.
You need to cut back until then and try to
I guess if anything, it's okay to feel bad. right? I mean, I think I'm talking myself into that as well. You know, it's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to feel upset. It's okay to say, you know what? I'm being honest right now. I'm not in a good spot. I'm not happy at the moment.
Mhm.
You know, I'm trying not to let it consume me. And I know that I have moments where I do fail at that. And, you know, but I'm trying to, you know, put one foot in front of the other. It's determination.
An important
Right?
part is to recognize that.
Yeah. The first part of it, you know,
Mhm.
fixing a problem is acknowledging that you have one,
Yes,
you know.
I am a problem.
Yeah, but you're my problem and I
I
love
know.
you.
Yeah, and
You
it's
know?
all my fault. Some of these things happen to you. I know.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. We'll circle back around on that.
uh,
So, most
yeah,
of the problems in my life can be traced back to Dan's mistake.
yeah, I know. I left you alone one
You left me
time,
you left me unsupervised.
and this is what happens.
You know?
Supervise your friends, everybody.
Yeah,
Don't.
keep an eye on them. You never know. I think I've just embraced the fact that I have several best friends that are very logical and understanding and practical, and my job is to be the, you know, the erratic the erratic tornado of everything else.
Well, you do it very well.
Oh, I appreciate that. See, I've excelled at it.
You
I've made a
see,
practice of it over
there
the
you go.
decades.
If you could say you've done one thing well,
Yes, it's being a chaotic tumult of emotion. Yeah,
there you go.
yeah. There you go.
And I keep
I
you
but
around
a
because
lot of
you.
people out there right now are also not okay, but they can't say it. They feel like if they say it, then they're going to get judged.
Well, I mean,
You know,
after 2 years of a pandemic,
yeah,
after 4 years of a toxic presidency, after a
uh-huh,
war going on, I mean,
uh-huh,
there's plenty of reason to not be okay. I mean,
yeah,
besides whatever else is going on in people's personal lives. I mean, it's
right,
just, I mean, the whole situation. I mean, 2 years in a pandemic where people are, a lot of them are locked away, or it's just, it's not good for your mental health. The people need social contact. No matter
yeah.
how introverted, however closed off. I mean, having even that little bit of social contact with somebody is good.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to me when I was wearing the mask, and on the very rare occasion, it did not happen often, not as often as some people like on social media were saying,
Mm-hmm.
but on the very rarest of occasions, somebody would challenge me on wearing the mask,
Mm-hmm.
and I would ask them, "How am I physically harming you by doing this? Tell me how I'm physically causing you pain at the moment by wearing a mask on my face because I'm trying to be part of the solution."
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it was just so interesting the responses, and it's like these people are acting like I want this. People are acting like I want to be socially distant, that I want to be wearing a mask all the time, that I want to be having to go get, you know, a vaccination every couple of months, that I love getting needles poked in my arm, you know, that
Mm-hmm.
they're acting like this is a situation that I want. No, dude, no, God,
No.
no. I want to be back to the way things were in, you know, socially in 2018, where we were all able to see each other at the drop of a hat. We were able to get together for conventions, and we
Mm-hmm.
could go to the park, we can go to the beach, we can go to movies without worrying about it. We could go to, you know, I could go sit at Eastman Theater and watch the RPO play without a K95 mask on my face, making it difficult to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wish I could do all of these things without worrying about making, you know, bringing something home to my nearly 80-year-old parents, and you know,
Right.
I would love to be doing something with people who I can't do anything with anymore because they're all gone because
Mm-hmm.
of the pandemic.
Yep. But all they
You
care
know,
about is it offends me or whatever. It's
yeah.
selfish. It's very selfish. When that whole masking debate was very
You know, the
selfish.
people who are anti-cancel culture are trying to cancel people who are trying to be proactive about what's going on in society.
Hmm.
Makes no damn sense.
Yeah, I've never loved match, but I always wore them because I'm just trying to.
The paradox of the right.
Yeah,
The paradox of the right.
it was
And
crazy.
you can even add another syllable, the paradox of the righteous.
Hmm.
The people who are just, you know, I have God on my side. No, you don't.
How many of them ended up dying of COVID? I mean,
Yeah. Oh
eh,
my God. It's terrible.
it's
God needs to be back in schools. Okay, which God? Tell me.
mhm,
Which
yeah.
one? The only one that matters. Okay, to you, but you still have all of these other people
And we have a
down the list.
freedom of religion in this country, and God is no part in a government.
The freedom of religion does not mean that we have the freedom to practice your religion. It means we have the freedom to practice religion as we see fit.
Hmm. Yes. and the religions aren't making the laws.
Oh God!
The
But yeah, well, they
separation
are
of
right
church and
now.
state. Yeah.
They are right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the thing. They are right now.
Yep. So,
My religion tells me I can't do this thing, so you can't do it either.
right. If you don't want to do it, don't do the thing.
Yeah.
As long as you're not hurting somebody else in the process, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
If whatever your belief is not harming somebody else, then you are happy to do your belief. I don't have to understand it. I just have to accept it. I don't understand a lot of stuff that goes on in this world, but as long as it's not harming people, or
Mm-hmm.
then it's you have the right to do it.
Yeah, like you and I have talked about gender identity on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the nuances of it.
Yes.
I don't. I want to. I try, but there are times where I get confused and I get tripped up by the various monikers and pronouns,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel bad about it. But that's
People.
on me. That's
Yeah.
not on if so and so comes up to me and says, "Hey, I am they. I'm he, they, or she, them, or whatever," and I don't get it. My lack of understanding does not invalidate their desire.
Mm-hmm.
And I will make a point of saying, look, I'm trying. I don't get it. I want to be respectful. I'm going to do my best. If I make a mistake, just work with me, and I promise I'll do what I can to help you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I am not going to sit there and go, well, you're ridiculous. I'm not doing that. You're a girl. You're obviously a girl. I can see your curves, whatever, and I'm going to call you a girl. That's the failure.
Right.
And when you willingly look at somebody and say, no, I see you as what you were, physically, genetically born as, and I'm not going to respect your choices. That's the problem.
Yeah, and I do have a problem where this is something that they live with, and a lot of people don't necessarily, and they expect instant acceptance of it.
Well, I can't
And
argue that point in some cases, because the people who are having issues with their gender identity and have tried to make strides to say, look, this is where I'm comfortable,
Mhm.
they're used to being assaulted. That
Yeah.
community in general, that section of the community, that segment of the population that is dealing with this issue and trying to make the most of it and trying to figure themselves out, they're used to the knee-jerk response being immediate assault, verbal, emotional, or whatever. People not willing to acknowledge their desires, or at least even respect that they want to make this change in their lives. So I understand that, if somebody says, hey, I know I was born male, but I'm identifying as she and they, and these are the pronouns I would like you to use,
Okay,
and this is the name I would,
so
you know,
this example I was thinking, okay, maybe it wasn't gender.
okay.
It was a woman who got married, and she kept her name, and the kids were under her name,
Mm-hmm.
and people would assume the kids were the father's last name.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not a very common thing, not something you hear about. And she was so furious at people for not instantly understanding that. But people were, I think there was genuine confusion there, because it's not a normal thing.
Right, and that's
They were a married
kind of a
couple.
different thing, but I get what you're saying.
The
Yeah.
kids went. So it's. I mean, that's where I'm kind of like, okay,
Okay.
I'm trying to understand, but if I don't, this is a new situation for me, something we're not used to. You have to, we're trying to be accepted, but you also have to give us, a heartbeat here to try to understand too. So I mean,
And that's fair.
it's a two-way street, and sometimes I don't see that two-way street. Like when, what's his name, who recently transitioned, and I don't in the Netflix show there.
Was it the X-Men in the
No,
Umbrella Academy?
Umbrella Academy.
Actor?
Yeah.
Was born Ellen Page and is now Elliot Page.
Elliot Page. Yes. When he came out, Elliot Page, and it was almost like it. I understand.
Apologies to Mr. Page, because I'm not trying to dead name or be disrespectful. We're using that just as a matter of being able to bring identity about.
No, and it was the verbiage was just. I mean, it's. I understand that you're now Elliot Page, but we knew you by this other name for all of our life, for a very long time.
Yeah,
And
we can go back and review their work.
And it's hard to transition sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think, and that's kind of what, I mean, I'm not going to go call you by, the other name on purpose, but I I need a transition time. I need a little time. I need a little time to, to adapt, because, especially some of us older people, we need time to adapt. We're not
I
trying
think
to.
the younger generation is going to lead us the way on that one, because for them, they've been raised in it. They're growing up in it. It's kind of it's part of their vernacular, right? So it's easy for somebody who's teens or in 20s to be able to go, somebody walks up to somebody, a Gen Zer, and say, hey, look, I'm going to go by she, they instead of he, him. And they're going to be like, okay, cool. And they're off and running. For us who have been ingrained in this older model, and like I said, I am perfectly willing to be respectful. Just forgive me if I'm a little confused sometimes, or if I get it wrong. Work with me, and I'll be happy to do what I can to respect your wishes.
Exactly. I need
So
a time. I need a reminder, and I try to remember, and I try to be as respectful as I can, and I don't purposely do anything wrong, but I like I said, we didn't grow up with this, so we need a little more time to adapt. we're old people.
Yeah. I mean, let me just keep reiterating. We want to.
Yes.
We want to be better. We want to do better, and we will do everything we can to make it easier. And to be able to be respectful. We're not those people who be like, we're not going to automatically shut you off and be like I was saying earlier, no, I see a girl in front of me, I'm calling you a girl. You're a she, you're a her, you're a female. I don't give a damn about what you identify as. See, no, that's not how we're going to react to you. We're going to, we may be a little confused at a moment, but we're like, okay, cool. If you want to be like, we have somebody who comes to FC3 and is involved in several of the panels that I love to do the most, because they involve some things I really, really enjoy. And they came to the show and introduced themselves with their name. And it's, for me, it was so obvious to look at this person that they are one gender, but everything that they were presenting, their information, their identity, their name, everything was pointing at the other gender. For me, that was a little confusing, but cool. Okay, cool. This is what they want. I'm going to work with it, and I'm going to do my best to adapt to that. And as I put that work in, it became easier to, when I would see them throughout I'd be like, hey, how you doing, dude? Stuff like that, that kind of a thing. Practice makes perfect.
Right.
And I could tell that they were appreciative of the fact that I put the work in. And this person gave me that opportunity to kind of stumble over that initial confusion and get through and be able to be like, cool, I can adapt to this now, and it was better for everybody. So I appreciate that person's patience with me, it didn't take that long. It was a fairly easy thing for me to click over from one to the other, but I still had to take the moment to go, I'm rectifying this. Is this a joke? No. Is this a cosplay character? No, this is what this person wants. Okay, cool. Let me make sure that I'm doing this right. I'm perfectly willing to, like I said throughout the political chat earlier, I'm perfectly willing to admit when I'm wrong. Give me that opportunity to learn, and I will do better.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's a constantly changing, and I'm doing my best, and I hope I don't slip up. But I'm trying to, I do everything I can. And if I know, then I know. If I don't know, then please forgive me and let me know. And tell me what I did wrong, and I'll do better in the future.
Yeah.
But so
Anyway, that's the news from Lake Wobegon for me. I'm exhausticated.
Yes. All right.
I have to go pay homage to Uncle Danny Wegmans. I'm going to spend $100 on a pack of water and a half a pound of bologna.
These days, it's about right.
Ramen is up to $5 a pound. It's $5 a ton. That's what I meant to say. $5 a ton.
I remember you could buy the packets for like 20 cents. Ramen packets. I don't know what they are now, but
and the really good ramen, I can't get it at Wegmans Mount Read anymore. I have to go to the Wegmans in Rondequoit to get the good ramen.
What's the good ramen?
It's called. It starts with an S. It has a white package with a green label on it. I don't remember anymore. I can't remember, but it's like Top Ramen is not the good stuff.
Oh, okay.
Top Ramen is not Top Ramen.
I don't know. I might have to get Josh likes ramen. Maybe I'll have to get him some other ramen and see if he likes it. Okay.
You go play with the children. I'm going to go shop.
All right. Have fun shopping.
Yeah, I will talk at you later.
All right.
All right, ciao.
See ya.